Yeah, it was crazy. I'm gonna go through like some of the stuff we did, and then I'll talk about some other stuff. But like, one of the first awesome stories was what he talked about. The first day we were handing out food packets to people, and that lady he talked about, I'm gonna talk about her again. It's crazy that someone who can't even read the Bible knows God better than most of so-called Christians here in America. And it's sad, Joby. And I don't know, it was super encouraging for me. Handing out food packets, we ran into a lot of people these people have already met a lot of missionaries and stuff, so they kind of knew how to answer the questions. Like he would ask them, do you know Jesus? They're like, yeah, I know who Jesus is. They know he died, but a lot of them I don't think were truly saved. So it was pretty cool to kind of give them some encouragement and stuff like that. And a lot of people just kind of answered the question, give me the food, let me go back inside. But we had a couple people who actually really were interested. That one dude on the bike, it was our last person. We really hadn't had many people really seem like they were interested. But this dude, we had one food packet left, and we came up to this guy on the bike, and we were like, hey, you know Jesus? And he was like, I've heard of him. And we started talking to him, and he broke down, and it was awesome to see, because I truly believe he was saved that day. And as he's riding away on his bike, I don't know if Dan ended up getting that picture, but as he's riding away on the bike, Dan gets a picture of him holding up the Bible saying God. He was saying something in Spanish about God, and it was really cool to see. Another cool scenario was at small groups we had. I was the leader of our small group, but every day we came together and we would have a message, and then we'd get in these small groups. And our small group was crazy because we had one lady there that day who she never talked until our group came, and she broke down and shared her testimony. And her testimony was someone tried to kill her, and they almost did. And afterwards, he was in jail. She went down to the jail because God told her to, and went to him and she said no charges, and they let him go. Mm-hmm. And I don't know, to have that kind of forgiveness is pretty crazy. Someone who tried to kill you, and she was able to forgive him, and then now they still talk, and she's a Christian now. Mm-hmm. So that's pretty cool. We had another lady, Daniel kind of talked about it, who was going through a lot. She had a lot of problems going on, and during a small group, we gave her a lot of encouragement, and I think it was like the third day after talking to her in a small group, she recommitted her life to God, and that was awesome, because she was crying. It was like, you see a lot of this stuff where it happens, and it doesn't seem real, but there's a couple of these scenarios, and these are stories I'm going to talk about, where I know it's real. She broke down, started crying, and it was really awesome to see that she gave her life back to God. And then another one was, I think it was one of the last days, I was working, and I was working with this guy, I forget his name, but he was 20, he was the same age as me. And I had been working with a lot of people, and then this person, I was like, man, something's different, I need to talk to this guy. So I called a translator over, and I started a conversation. I was actually working with our head guy, Dan, and we just started talking. We're like, hey, who's God to you? And are you saved? He's like, yeah, I'm saved. God is good. And we're like, okay, what gets you into heaven? It's like, you do good things, you dress right, you act right, gets you into heaven. We're like, we know that's not true. So we talked to him about the real purpose of God, and we talked to him for a good hour, and he broke down, started crying. And the allergies were pretty bad there. And we talked to him for a while, and he gave his life to God that day, and that was so awesome to see. Actually seeing someone, I've never really had that experience in my life, is someone right in front of me, someone I'm talking to gives their life to God, and knowing that it's real was so awesome. But those, I think, were the main stories about, people recommitting their life to God and stuff like that. But one of the biggest things about the trip everyone told me was, this trip is going to change you. And to be honest, I didn't believe them at all. I was like, yeah, I'm going to go down there, God's going to use me to change these people. But God changed me on this trip, maybe more than what he changed those people. So it was pretty awesome that God really hit me hard down there. You know, before this trip, I could count how many times I cried on my left hand. During that week, I couldn't count how many times I cried in that week. So God really hit me on my emotional side there, just being down there and seeing these people was awesome. You know, these people, there's a couple of them. I don't think a lot of them were saved, and I think we helped a lot of people be saved, but the couple people that were, like, they don't have phones. The person couldn't even read the Bible. And how are they closer? I can tell they're closer to God than I am. And I'm in America, and I have no excuses. You know? So how can it be, how does that happen? Like, that's what I'm asking myself now, is how is this lady who can't even read the Bible closer to God than I am? So I went down there to help them, and they showed me that I need to help myself first, maybe. I mean, I think I was sent down there for a purpose, but another thing was, you know, that kid Xander right there. I'm gonna tell you the story of Xander, and I'm gonna try not to cry about it. I worked with him all week, and I learned his story. His dad wasn't part of his life. His mom and he has a twin sister, and his twin sister was in the hospital for I think 2 weeks before we were gone. And I don't know, I think he was 9 or 10. But this 10-year-old kid's living on his own for 2 weeks. He doesn't know when his parents are getting back. He doesn't know if his sister's okay. And he's over here working side by side on a house that's not even his. His house is going to be built 2 months from now. And he's working so hard and with so much joy. You know, he's so happy, like smiling all the time. And, you know, even though we couldn't communicate very well, it was pretty cool. Like, we would learn little things. Like, I learned what like little words I would ask him and he would tell me. And so I learned what tape measure was and stuff like that. And I would ask him for a tape measure. It was really cool. We built such a strong connection even though we couldn't even understand each other. And over the week, I hung out with that kid every day, worked side by side with him every day.
So what's the word for tape measure?
I think it's Syntha. Is that right? That's what he called it. Close. I probably mispronounced it, but hey, I'll take it. He understood what I was talking about while I was down there.
That sounds good to me.
Yeah, sounded good in the moment.
I was curious.
Yeah, and you know, it was really cool. But the last day, we were laughing and we were talking together, and he realized everyone's getting on the bus. And as we're getting on the bus, he turns and he looks at me, and he had been happy all week. And he ran over and put his head on me, and he just started bawling his eyes out. I mean, crying. My shirt was soaking wet. And like, I know some of y'all might think it's funny, but like, in 1 week, I built such a connection with someone like I didn't think it was possible. I started bawling, crying my eyes out, and he's crying, and he started saying something in Spanish, and I didn't understand what he was saying. And I called a translator over and I said, hey, what's he saying? And he said, he's calling you his brother. And that was awesome. That just hit me so hard. And I had told him I prayed for him all week. I said, I'm praying for your sister and your mom. And that last day, right before he came up and hugged me, he had told me that his mom and sister were back home and his sister was okay. So they had been gone for 3 weeks. 3 weeks of not knowing if his mom's coming home and him just living by himself, taking care of himself, and yet he had so much joy. And you know, when he called me his brother, I just started crying. Like I lost it. I didn't want to get on the bus. I didn't want to leave. I didn't want to leave him there. But you know, I know God will take care of him. And the final thing he said to me as I'm walking away was, "I love you," in English. I don't know how he learned that word, but that was so hard. But another thing that someone on the trip, so that lady who gave her life back to God said she was going through a lot. Like she said, the only reasons I wake up in the morning is to make my kids food, because she felt depressed and helpless. And that hit me really hard, and it also hit one of our other missionaries really hard, and he ended up giving his testimony that night about how he tried to kill himself. That's something I went through, and I never talked about it. Nobody ever knew. But God struck me that day and said, hey, it's okay to talk about it. And it's okay that you went through that. And something I feel like I should say is like, that hit me so hard, and him talking about it helped me so much. So talking about it, putting it away, like I tucked these feelings away and never thought about them anymore. So if you're going through something like that, we need to talk about it. Tell somebody, because people care. Talk to me, talk to your friends. You know, I promise you they're not gonna think you're dumb or weak or sad. They're here to help you. So if you're going through something like that, talk to someone. Because I know it will help. Go to God. God can help you, you know. But I think it's really important to be able to talk about that stuff. I'm going to finish up just saying, you know, it's awesome that I went on this mission trip. I wish everybody could go on a mission trip. But not everybody can. Let's be honest. Not everyone's called to go on a mission trip. Not everybody is, you know, able to. You know, you might never get the chance. But what I learned on this trip is our life is a mission. So we need to wake up every day thinking your life is your mission trip. It's not this 1 week I was gone. The rest of my life needs to be a mission trip. Every day I need to be doing what God calls us to do, which is tell people about Jesus and make disciples. So I encourage y'all. I know a lot of people in here, I've worked with a lot of people in here, and it's really cool. And y'all been a huge encouragement to me. You know, when I work with you, I see y'all use God in your daily work. You know, that's one way to do it. Bring up God in your conversations. So that's what I'm going to end with is your life is a mission trip. You don't have to be on a mission trip to do mission work. So I just pray that everyone here will go into their life